ran into an interesting trickle-down upgrade effect that we weren't planning. We've been keeping our list going here. Our fuel pump mount is actually hitting our positioning mount, so we're gonna have to fix that. I'm thinking, even if it's a faint rainbow, that is a positive sign for us. Well, we are getting the last bit of stuff on our list done here at Penpac. We've got a few more projects to go. We've been keeping our list going here. We have an inside door trim. The frame that came with the new door wouldn't fit here. This was a little too short, so we ended up using our old frame, and we're gonna get something decorative, something pretty here. If you have any ideas, let me know. But I thought we'll just kind of clean that up. Actually, we'll take that off the list. We did buy an awning shade. We'll get that done later. That's not part of this right now, so maybe I'll move it over here. Okay, we got step trim. Dan's working on that right now. It looks pretty. It looks a lot nicer than the
aluminum one.
Yeah, I think it matches a bit nicer. We have one little tiny door decal left, so that's cool. We're going to talk about that later. We've got to reinstall the front cameras on the Nosecap. Refrigerator doors Dan has ordered. We're getting those. Battery box has to be installed once we get all this stuff done, because we were putting a stair brace below. We actually have the horizontal trim done now. We just did that this morning. Truck positioner blocks, we have to wait until we get the camper on the truck. And the door kick plate, which is when we still need to get done. Getting down on our list. We ran into an interesting trickle-down upgrade effect that we weren't planning. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You'll notice that this is actually quite a bit larger, which has caused us a unique problem. We have just installed this Dometic refrigerator, and we installed the Rec Pro recliners in our host Cascade. Because this refrigerator comes out a little bit further, this chair, excuse my junk here, gets really close to that refrigerator, so much so that we actually had to move the couch that way just a little bit in order to clear that refrigerator. Well, that additional movement this way caused us to have problems with closing the dinette slide. So we are currently doing some fairly major rework to cut out a portion of the slide in order to fit this. We have actually cut out this piece here. This used to be angled. Well, here is the update of the slide. I think it looks really good considering how much hacking we did on this. So Gary ended up cutting this area out. This was angled, so now we're notched in. A little hard to see, but this is basically a metal plate to try to reduce the amount of thickness this whole section is. It was so tight, we ended up having to cut this carpet because the combination was too thick. But this is good for now. I really wanted to replace this carpeting on the top with some sort of vinyl. I think it would be easier to clean and not look as mashed down as it is right now. We're gonna save this whole section for another future project, which, you know, we have many on the list. Right now, I'm happy with where it's at. All slides actually work now, so that means we can eventually get out of here. We're working on that still.
This is a pretty big moment for us. We felt confident enough that we would get out this week, so we decided to wash the truck. It desperately needed it.
think we can say that we are officially on the last week of being here at Penpac. We just kind of have to start thinking about getting on the road again. Almost doesn't feel real. I think we've been sitting for such a long time. I think we've got used to this. Now it's time to finish up these last little bits and get out of Dodge. Penpac has definitely been making some progress. We're actually seeing gaps in the areas here. That's a good thing. Means projects are getting done, and ours as well. My number one plan is to get her out of this garage today. We're hoping to do that this afternoon so we can dump her tanks and get some water. But it's starting to rain in typical Joslyn fashion, right?
Yeah, we gotta have a little bit of extra excitement. It doesn't rain here hardly ever, but
The
today,
last 2 days.
well, the day while we're trying to do this, it's got to rain.
Ay, 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 ay. You're in the way. Come on. Pause for a moment. So, a lot of the things that we've done over the past couple of months do impact how we put this camper on our bed. The first one is we ended up putting the new stable camper mounts, which is messing with my ability to figure out how close we need to get to the front. Plus we put some updated blocks in the front for the stop point. So that's kind of changing things a little bit. I don't know if you can see it there, but those stable camper pieces are actually hitting the tires. So that's problem one. Problem two is we did put this diesel heater in. Our fuel pump mount is actually hitting our positioning mount. So we're gonna have to fix that too. We're so dirty. Woohoo, we're out! Yay! So we're in our camper, or in our truck, with the camper!
And we can go take an official dump.
Well, we definitely need a serious dump. We have about a 45-minute jaunt down to Prineville. Thinking, even if it's a faint rainbow, that is a positive sign for us. We're getting close to being on the road. From Redmond to Prineville. This is such a cool drive. So pretty.
So here we are again, making modifications to this lovely camper. We got a little bit of a different step box and putting the battery box, our hose container, used to be a battery box, back in. Found out that there's probably a 1/2 inch lip on the back of the stair there, so where we welded. So rather than remove that lip, which would be nearly impossible, it's just as easy to cut into the battery box. It's plastic and everything's in here is just hoses and junk like that.
We are no longer in the building, which is amazing. But we've got a lot to work on today. We are going to focus on trying to get all of our junk out of the building since I feel like we kind of moved in a little bit, but makes sense. We've got some junk over here, some of our tables, our chairs and stuff, so we're going to try to get everything out of here today. That is our goal. Well, it's time to make dinner again, and I went through my refrigerator yesterday and realized that I had some extra cottage cheese because I did that TikTok cottage cheese cookie dough thing. Yeah, I did it. Wasn't a fan, so instead we're going to make lasagna-ish, like fake lasagna, I guess, in the Omnia oven. I ended up starting out with my typical spaghetti sauce, which is a can of diced tomatoes, some tomato paste. I had some leftover turkey sausage, onions, mushrooms. So, and then all the spices that you normally would have: salt, pepper, garlic, basil, oregano, blah, blah, blah. I don't have enough room I'm going to start off like you normally do. This is a little light version, so yeah. Start off with a tiny amount of sauce on the bottom. Oh, I think you're supposed to do cottage cheese next, but we're going to do this so we can use it up. Let's get some layers going. Throw some pasta. I'm probably not doing these in the right layers, but I honestly don't think it tastes different, so now let's get my cheese. This would be a lot easier with one hand. For sure I can do that. Yeah! That filled up a lot quicker than I thought it would. I think I'll just keep the pasta for later, and dang it, I still have more cottage cheese. Since I'm cleaning up, I don't remember if I've said these before, but I got these things on Amazon. They're like 3 a pack for pans like this. This is really good to scrape off the sides because you really don't want this gook in your gray tank. So I kind of use a combination of this and then a paper towel, or if I have any leftover napkins from dinner, that's when I would use those as well. Yeah, another weird thing that we do is we typically do not use our propane or electric for that matter for hot water. I just boil a little bit of water and use that. So I do use this, although I end up making my own. I end up using 2 tablespoons of Dawn dishwashing soap and 2 tablespoons of alcohol. This is also a great way to save water when boondocking. And I made some cheesy pita bread.
TV dinner.
TV dinner!
Well, we are finally at D-Day. We're leaving Penpac RV and getting back on the road. Dan and the team here were great, and we ended up with our rig being even better than new, in our opinion.
Well, we are finally out of Penpac and in a campground, which is definitely a great sight.
And we're in luxury because it's got full hookup.
And so we want to share our journey during our time at Penpac and kind of give a quick overview of what we went through those 14 weeks.
Yes.
14 weeks, I can't believe it. First off, we're going to talk about the big elephant project, which was
The Nosecap. We had to get a facelift.
very snazzy. Okay.
We had a facelift with our camper, and it was caused by a water leak that we caught in 2019-ish, about 4 years ago. We thought we had it managed, and it turned out we did not. So we ended up having saggy undersides, and the sides started delaminating. They helped us basically demolish the whole front end of this thing. We took everything off the front, the sides, the underside, the back, and we found a lot of water damage. We found some mold. From that point, we got the new nose cap. We retrofitted that on. Ours had just the ribs on the outside that came down this side. I kind of wanted this new design, but it took some retrofitting to put it on the 2018, but Dan was able to do that. Even though we retrofitted this on, it's not a cure-all for eliminating water damage. You still have to do your due diligence with sealing up. We do it like every 3 months. There's still a potential for water to get behind this, but it's definitely a help. One of the other items that we had to add in that Laura and I had a disagreement with, a marital dispute, I'm just kidding.
Yes, we did.
Okay, is the graphics on here. She wanted to go no graphics. She wanted this nose to be naked.
I just really enjoy being naked.
But to me, it just looked like we did a bunch of rework and didn't bother to do anything else with it. So I wanted the graphics. Unfortunately, they're very expensive. What we did on the front was we minimized how many of the decals we used. Now, we still paid for all of the decals, but we minimized them because that way at least I could compromise with Laura's none and me, I want some. So on to the next subject, our jacks. We had some jack issues.
I don't know jack.
Our jacks basically would line up and then they would spread out. So we were having a lot of movement, and then they would do this as well. We were on an unstable campsite, and our whole camper decided to shift. And basically it kind of damaged that inside. When we had this wall off and replacing this wall, we had Dan and team put in some extra aluminum extrusion in there on both sides of this to help strengthen them up. And we did that for both jacks. So now hopefully that we got a little bit more strength in behind there. We wanted the back door replaced, and we could not keep our door shut no matter what we did to it. So we thought we could get a new door from Host and our problem be solved. That did not happen. 3 weeks later, we ended up with a new door, a new step, and a new set of stairs. Dan had to retrofit this door in. What it took was, this door is 1 inch wider than the old door. So we ended up having to cut some of our camper out on this side all the way down. This box right here needed to be also a little wider. We ended up having to cut flooring and all of the sides up here. We had to cut all of this out and put a new one in. And then, of course, we had to put new stairs on because of the way everything fits.
They look nicer, though, and they're lighter.
It does have a nice black outline. It also has a blackened glass. Wish we could have had a black trim. The things I like about the door, it does open wider. The only issue is the struts here at the bottom. So it kind of bangs up against it as a door stop. So I don't know how long the strut will last doing this, so we'll have to kind of play it by ear. And it does make it a little more difficult to get in the cadaver tray. I'm sorry, the basement tray, not the cadaver tray.
Cadaver tray.
I get in trouble from Host for saying that. It's also got 2 latches on the door, so it makes it a lot easier to get in and out. You don't need to slide the thing back and forth.
That's a big deal. That's really nice.
And they got nice seals all the way around. And then they got some like horsehair things on the bottom. We're not quite sure about this yet. It's to kind of keep bugs and stuff out, I'm sure.
So we're going to get into some of the stuff that we did ourselves while we were at Penpac. We thought, we might as well be able to use that time wisely. One of them was to get this handle added, which is really nice. Gives us a lot of room here. We re-added the RV lock on the camper. Oh, yeah. We added this again too. It works well on the new Lippert door. While we were at Penpac, we also added the Dometic 12-volt refrigerator, which has been really great the last several weeks.
And we'll show you the install video up here.
And we painted this entire sucker all over here. In the bathroom, you probably can't see it very well here.
One of the other things we did while we were at Penpac is we installed a diesel heater. And I can't show you the whole thing, but we'll show you the link to the install video.
And since we were at Penpac, I decided to add a little bit to our scope by getting a little bit of Raptor liner on the bottom of our camper. I wanted to do that so it kind of matches the back of our truck, and I think it looks pretty snazzy. And we updated this awning. I forgot about that. So all in all, the 14 weeks was a bit longer than we were expecting, but we ended up getting a lot more done than originally planned.
So in the future, for all those projects we feel like we can't handle ourselves, we're going to be heading to Penpac because we know Dan and his team can handle this with no problem.
Yep. So we will see you next week.
And we'll catch you on the trail.
Bye.
Bye.